Yeah. Well, speaking of longest day, we're going to have a chat to Helen Gillespie now. I am super stoked to share this Helen story. She is an absolutely fantastic person. She's been fantastic to work with in her quest to complete the longest day. I think she's got as good a chance as anybody, and it's going to be super exciting to see her out there giving it her all and seeing how it all goes. And I'm going to be hanging out at New Brighton waiting to see her across the finish line.
Catching Helen's finish line interview. I look forward to that, actually, with all the emotion that is likely to flow out. Welcome along, Helen.
Taking on the longest day in 2026. How are you getting on, Helen?
Yeah, good, thanks, Richard.
It's a story. It's so cool to be able to chat to you and I guess share your story, but also share your, I guess, approach to what the longest day means to you and why you're doing it. How are you feeling about where you're at the moment, sort of a couple of weeks out from race day?
Yeah, really good. There's a mixture of confidence, being scared and excited, and it all kind of just merges into one. You go from feelings of like, to, oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah, it's kind of a roller coaster of where I'm at.
Yeah, good stuff. And I'm sure everybody's dealing with that, and maybe that roller coaster goes up and down faster the closer and closer we get to the event.
Yeah, as soon as anybody talks to you about it, you go, okay, yeah, that's right. We've got an event coming up.
Yeah, we're on here. Let's just take a bit of a step back. You're doing the longest day, but tell us a bit about your background. You're a runner, like that's your strength. You've been involved in the coast to coast in the past, and the longest day is a big job to see if we can tick off. So tell us a little bit about your your sporting background for a start.
Yeah, sure. I grew up really rurally, and so running around the paddocks in gumboots was kind of where it all started, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember going to my first national schools cross country, not having running spikes or anything. That was something I didn't even know about. Thinking, God, it would be so much better if I could run this in gumboots because they're much more grippy than bare feet. It wasn't really the thing. Like it went from that to running track and field and cross country and road and stuff. But realised kind of at some point I really wanted to wear the black singlet, and so it was a conscious decision to go into mountain running. I loved running on hills. I loved being selfishly the first person to get to the top of the hill to get the view first. Like it's bizarre because everybody gets the view. So yeah, mountain running was my thing for a wee while. But back in the day, Richard, there wasn't a thing called professional athlete. So you needed a day job, and running was just the thing you did on the side. So I focused on career and did running for a thing you did. When I moved to the West Coast for my work, I kind of went, oh wow, coast to coast, that seems like a cool thing. Like imagine that's big. And I'd done mountain running, which at its worst was 6 kilometres of uphill. Like it wasn't 33 over a mountain path. It had to have no more than 10% of the surface being non-tracked. So it wasn't off-road. It was just, quite a different concept in the coast to coast. But I moved to the coast and went, let's do something different. And so started off in the 2-day team. And I know that I look, somewhere around 20, Richard, but that was 28 years ago when I did my first coast to coast.
The year was
19. 19. Sorry.
19? Sorry.
1998.
1998. Fantastic.
Yep. So podium that year with my teammate, which was awesome. We were third mixed team, and then started the longest day the year after, so 1999. Got really sick in the run, and when I was pretty delirious and still vomiting on that middle bike ride, went getting on the water is probably not the best idea, so made the call to pause on that. Fast forward 14 years, and I did mixed teams again, and this time a gold medal. That was pretty cool. And the coolest part about that was, chuck 3 kids in the middle of those two-day teams events, and I ran faster on the longer course than I had done the first time I did it. I was like, wow,
That's pretty cool. Good on you.
age is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, fast forward another 13 years, and yeah, longest day in a couple of weeks' time.
Great. So you haven't
There's
completed
the fire
the longest.
alarm.
You haven't completed the longest day. You've tried it once before.
I'm going to have to pause to walk out the door.
And Helen, I just asked you, this is a world first that someone has actually had a fire alarm in the middle of our podcast, but you've managed to deal with that. Walk outside calmly. It is just a drill, and it's a beautiful day in Hokitika. So we'll move on. My question was, so you've started the longest day once, completed the mountain run, but haven't got on your boat. Is that true?
Yeah. So it was a really bizarre year through that run. All of the waterways were all warm. And I kind of went, oh, this is probably not good, because back then I just drank out of all the streams, rivers that there were. So yeah, by the time I got to go past huts, I'd been vomiting for a wee while, and vomited on that middle bike ride, and was feeling, apparently I was all over the road. So that road is open. And my support crew were kind of alongside me, because back in the day you could. And yeah, I said to my partner at the time, who was my support crew, what should I do? And he said, that's not for me to say, you need to decide. So yeah, I got to the boat and went, I'm going to be relying on everybody else to save me if this turns pear-shaped. So didn't get on the river, thought that I was probably a liability. So yeah, was crook for about 8 weeks afterwards. I could go days without eating. So it was a bit nasty, but you recover.
It was the right call. It was what it was, and you're lining up for the longest day to see if we can tick that box this time around. So tell us a little bit where you've been as well from a health perspective, because it's not straightforward either at the moment.
No, it's I guess actually by the time we kick off to race day, it will be almost 7 years to the day since I've been diagnosed with cancer. So stage 2 breast cancer. So we kind of spent 2019 surgeries, chemo, radiation. Got to the end of 2019 and thought, that was tough. And there were parts of that which were, you just kind of go, how do people get through this? Like, days of chemo days where you're spending most of the day leaning over the toilet. It's incredible how you just keep going. You get through that. Prior to that, in fact, a year prior to that, I had a long-term concussion. Strangely enough, I'd run into a tree running. And that, that was 18 months of interesting changes to your body, in comparison, much less able than you appear to be because you look normal. So, a newfound respect for people who live with concussion symptoms or mental illness for a long time. It's a tough place to be because you look like your usual self, but you're just not your usual self. So you fast forward, when I'd had radiation, the oncologist had said to me, look, we never really know what impact radiation has on your lung capacity or your heart. We try to be really specific, but you might not run like you used to run. And for me, running was kind of my thing. That was kind of an interesting experiment just to see whether I still could. It appears I can. But then, I'm about 6 years older as well, so physiologically I'm not aiming for a sub 4 minute mile at any point.
Yep, exactly. So how's the health at the moment? How are you and how have you been going recently?
Yeah, look, I noticed some interesting symptoms about this time last year, so started on another, is this cancer, is it something else, journey. Had some interventions to check on that stuff, and made a deal with the surgeon that I had a really big event to do in February and I really wanted to do it, and that's what living looks like. And if it were at all possible, we could part whatever is going on in my body for a time after February. So yeah, I actually bumped into him yesterday and he said, "Oh, must be due to see you soon. That big race must be coming up." So yeah, no, I just made a call that you can, and having gone through the cancer journey once already, you can spend a whole lot of your time being occupied by what illness you might have or what symptoms you might have, and that gets in the way of actually living. And I'm kind of like, I'm here for living. Like, let's worry about the other stuff when we can. And from a health perspective, it was deemed that that's okay.
Yeah,
but I did find that just that perspective and with that cancer journey kind of, for me, changed how I saw things. So, chemo once a week, sort of initially it was once every 3 weeks, and you spend about half of that 3 weeks feeling like garbage, and the other 3 weeks starting to feel better, but then getting really anxious about how you're going to feel unwell again. And that cycle is kind of hard. So when we went down to weekly chemo treatment, I kind of put it in a different space and went, 1 day a week I'll dedicate to everything that's cancer treatment and cancer. And if anyone wants to talk to me about it, they can just wait till that day of the week. So I coined the Nike phrase, "just do it." And I just kind of had this Nike t-shirt and I had it screen printed with cancer, "just do it" on Thursdays. Because for me, there were suddenly 6 other days of the week where cool stuff could happen. And because of the initial treatment, I'd kind of lost sight of the fact that it doesn't have to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that cancer is the only thing in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this freedom to go, "Oh my God, what am I going to do on the other 6 days of the week? This is so exciting."
Good job.
So,
that's a fantastic way to manage that.
Yeah, and it kind of carries through now to what's my strategy for, training and for race day. It's like, it's going to be a long day, but it doesn't have to be, like however long it's going to take me. It doesn't have to be all that time of suffering or feeling negative or fatigued or run down by it. It can be, "Oh my God, I've got 23 other hours of the day that I'm not occupying right now. What's the cool stuff that's going to happen in those hours?"
Yep.
So just breaking it down into, like, right in the moment, you might be suffering a little bit, but there's cool stuff to come, and there's cool stuff that's just been.
Yep.
And training's been like that too. Like, training sessions have been, "Oh my God, that was cool. I wonder what cool stuff's going to happen next." And so I haven't had any sessions where I felt like, "What am I doing here? This is a drag." It's, it hasn't taken over my world. It's been a moment in my world.
Yeah, and you've done an amazing job of your training too. Like you've really got yourself well organized. You've got on the indoor trainers you've needed to. You've done some fantastic sessions in the boat. You haven't just paddled your boat. You've thought about technique. You've got down the local rivers. Paul Massey, Coast to Coast legend, has come across to help you out in the boat as well and been down the rivers with you as well. We've got you humming on that time trial bike. It's pretty cool where you're at, and how you've trained and how you've broken it down and just managed your, as you say, your life, your body, your energy levels, work, all those other things that are going on, family. So you've done a great job of it.
Yeah, it has felt, it's just felt fun. I am a bit of a, not a workaholic, but if I've got nothing else to fill my world, I'll allow work to take over. So I had said to my boss, I need something big again outside of work. It's feeling like, I'm becoming complacent and letting work fill it in.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do the longest day, and he went, oh, okay, that's great. So in this last couple of weeks since we've had Christmas break, I've just kind of gone, okay, 8 hours a day is as much as I can give to work at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's great with that. I'm a much better person to know when I've got some physical activity stuff going on in my world.
Yeah, I think a lot of us
we
can
probably all are.
to relate to that. We're better humans as a result of it. How are you approaching race day? Longest day, it's a big job. One of the challenges with longest day, it's not a given. You've got to be getting through the course at a reasonable clip because those cutoffs are real, and it's quite conditions dependent as well. Some days the course will let more people through, some days it won't, with headwinds and low rivers, or high rivers, and the mountain run affects things too. So what's your approach to it? How are you going to be feeling standing on the start line?
I'm pretty confident there'll be some race nerves on start.
Good. Yep.
Which is fine, because that means I'm tuned in, and I'm actually, I'm connected to what it is that I'm about to do. Look, my why for the race is to see if I can. Like you say, it's not a given that you get to the finish line, and I need to keep a level head, and I think I will be. Effectively, you've got, I think I worked it out before, you've got about 6 finish lines during that day. So if I'm treating each finish line, celebrating what just went before and putting that in a box, put it away and go, right, what's next? And I think, managing that initial race nerves. And I kind of did a bit of a practice at the weekend, actually, with the Integrity Dash that we had on the coast. There's a chance for people to have a bit of a run through under sort of semi-race conditions. And I found it quite easy to just snap from race nerves to, right, let's just crack on. What are we doing now? So almost having, this coach voice beside you going, right, now we're running. What are the things we're thinking about for the run section? What are we focusing on? And I said to you before, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the variety of food or nutrition in each of the stages. And I am so looking forward to my jam sandwiches on the middle bike ride. Like the rest of the day might be mostly about gels and actually dried pineapple. Oh my gosh, the bite-sized pieces of pineapple is wicked. So I'm looking forward to that on the last bike ride, and Wattie's peaches.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you're approaching it as an eatathon. I like it. That's
I like food, and so I have rapidly become agnostic about gels. They're just not my favourite thing at the moment, so that's fine. Just find something else. But yeah, just kind of breaking each discipline into an event all of its own, mentally. And I was having a bit of a session with some of the Westland High School students who are doing the race in various forms. There's about a dozen of them, I think. And just having a bit of a top 2 inches talk to them about what's their why and the language that they use. So we were talking about, things can go wrong, and equally they'll go wrong for me as well, but being able to just kind of go, damn it, fix whatever's going wrong and then just forget about it. But equally it's about your mindset. So instead of the thing going wrong, that discipline, instead of going, oh God, next I've got to do, it's actually next I get to do. So the language helps to reframe. Actually, I made a choice to do this, and it was all my decision. It wasn't somebody else driving it. So just even saying things like, oh God, next I get to do a bike ride. How cool is that? But if you frame that in a slightly negative way. It's like, next I've got to do a bike ride. And suddenly your tone drops. You sound like it's a chore. Like,
Yeah, let's
so
go.
using tips like, it's like those, just the language changes, how you feel about what's coming next.
And as I mentioned, longest day isn't a given. Like, are you like, and you said that you'll be nervous on the start line. You're doing longest day and not the 2-day. It's a challenge for you. And like, how are you managing, I guess, that sort of the longest day and what that brings? Does it make sense?
Yeah, like you and I had this conversation last week. Actually, like, I was reviewing my why. So I've had a let's run off the beach, ride to Deception Footbridge, run Goat Pass, and we did that a couple of weeks ago. And it was a long day. A couple of things went wrong, and we had a beautiful, unrelenting easterly headwind. But like, my why for this is it's as simple as I want to see if I can.
Yep.
So shifting into a different race automatically removes the why, because my why is to see if I can do the longest day, not to see if I can do the 2-day.
Yes.
And so it's just that kind of resolute connection to my why, which is driving this. And it, I may not get to the finish line, and that's okay, because that's the why. It's like, it's not a given. And I guess there's a part of that it's both scary and it's exciting, because you just go, well, what if I could? What would that feel like? And so, I kind of have been visualizing what would that feel like on the finish line. But then, as I said, there are 6 finish lines on that day. So what will it feel like at the end of each of those? And then what will it feel like when you kind of get to the halfway finish line? Like, how cool is that? You get 6 finish lines in one race. That's value for money, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. And that's just breaking it down into little goals, little targets, rather than one great big thing, isn't it? Which is really cool. And I think that's for everybody across the board. Is you get to a point, you're prepared as well as you can. Let's just go and push send and see what happens, basically. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what race day is going to be about, and the fact that we all can and you can do this, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I think the other cool thing about this is that kind of vulnerability. Like, I've run as an elite runner. I've been an elite athlete, and I'm decades older than that now. And so it's, even for somebody like me who's come from a background like that, it's not a given. And you're putting yourself back in the place where so many coast to coasters start. Start as novices and go, that's a bucket list thing. And I might come from a slightly, different place in terms of, that endurance base and stuff. But this event is so doable for, like, a huge part of the population, and it just has this kind of magnetic attraction. And there are probably hundreds of other people in that event, whether it be the 2-day or the teams or the whatever, just going, I wonder if I could.
Yep. And that's the motivation. I think that's the best motivation, isn't it? I wonder if I could. And that's why that finish line is so exciting, because that all becomes reality. And whatever happens on the day, we'll have an awesome story to tell. And and you're going to have done your best, whatever that looks like. Yeah,
and you're just going to, the conditions today are different to what they're going to be on race day. That you don't know what's going to unpack on the day, but it's such a cool environment to be in. And those kinds of places, like the paddling, for example, is I think I've moved from being anxious about paddling to being respectful of the river, and confident and strong as a paddler. And so you kind of move through these things in training, and they turn into a place where you go, oh, I can't wait to be in that space again. And Goat Pass, I might have been 27 years or 28 years between the first one and this one, but almost every year that I could, I've run over Goat Pass. or have been in that space. So like, they are just the most beautiful parts of the country, stunning to be in. It's a privilege, you know. I feel really grateful that I've got a body that allows me to do this stuff.
That's pretty awesome.
Cool.
Good work, Helen. Well, you go and enjoy the sunny Westport weather that you've got out behind you there. It looks pretty amazing. You make sure you keep that rolling for the next week or two. And we look forward to seeing you in Greymouth at the registration, and all the best for your day, all the best for your longest day. And thank you for sharing your journey, your thoughts, and how you're approaching it, because it's going to be a pretty awesome achievement to be able to go and rip it up and give it a good crack and get to that finish line.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Richard.
Well done. Thanks, Helen.
Well, Helen just showing the variety of athletes that are showing up for the Kathmandu Coast to Coast in just 1 week's time, Richard, and that can do, will do attitude almost along the way, isn't it? That why? Well, why not?
That's right. Exactly. Let's just go and. I mean, Helen is as prepared and organised that anybody could be. She has trained so well. She's listened to her body. She's put the hard yards in. She's got on the river. She's done all those things. And I'm really excited for Helen and seeing what she can actually do. And yeah, it's just such a cool thing to be able to share that and be part of a journey.
Do you know who else I'm excited to see what they can do, Richard?
Toby?
Well, I know what he's going to do, mate. He's going to see that river like you've never seen before. No, you, my friend, our other teammate, in fact, the team captain, really, aren't you? Our why, Toby and my why is because why? Well, because you asked us to. So here we are. But what's Agria, the leader of this thing? How's his training been going? I've seen a few journeys over Goat lately.
Yeah, I did a few of those a couple of times. So I went over in the weekend as well. It was a beautiful day to run Goat Pass. Probably one of the best days ever, actually, over there. And there was so many people out. It was just incredible. The Graney's car park, you couldn't get a car park. There was cars parked up and down the road. It was crazy. And I was pretty happy with my run. I did pretty well, but I was actually a bit social. There was people I hadn't seen for years. So you kind of have to have a bit of a stop and a bit of a chat. So that's what I will not be doing on race day. There's no chatting. So that's one goal for me. But it's been good. Like, one of the things I've really focused on this season is I wanted to kind of leave Goat Pass a bit. I didn't want to go over there too much. I wanted to make sure it was fresh and interesting. I think a lot of times with this event, we get too dialed in to this line or this way to do things, and I want to get over Goat Pass again, or I want to do river trips, etc. But I think it comes back to the skills and how you do things. And I mean, I've been over there a number of times. I still don't think I actually know the way, really. I still feel like I go a slightly different way every time, and the river's changed. There's more gravel in the river than what there has been. So I think, if anything, the run might be running a little bit quicker than what it has been, because it's all smoothed out. All these boulders that were like knee high that you had to kind of skip over, you can just kind of run straight over because it's all just graveled. It's amazing in places. So that's interesting. But it's still the mountains. It's still the Arthur's Pass National Park. It's still an adventure. So I love that. So it's been really fun being able to get out and amongst it, but also do a bunch of other different adventures around the Canterbury foothills and up Mount Oxford and around the back of Mount Thomas and all of those sorts of things as well, which every weekend done a sort of decent hill run, which has been good for me. So how am I going? I don't know. Not really sure, to be honest. I'd have to say that I'm not injured, so that's a win. And I don't think I'm any worse than last year, but I guess we'll see next weekend.
Will we see a PB?
Oh, I don't think I'll do a PB. I'd love that. That was like, I don't know, 20 years ago, Angus. But I would like to go, like, if I can go similar to what I did last year, but it'd be nice to go just a little bit faster if I could. I'd be pretty stoked with that. So to do a PB, I'd probably have to take another 15 minutes off that again. So that's a pretty big ask. But I think one of the key things, and I've been talking about this with a few people, is like setting time goals. What's your time? One thing I did last year is that you come in, I was pretty fired up in that bullpen transition, and I was off and gone. And there was a school kid. I'm not sure who he was, but we ran together that first 3Ks or so. And I was like, I can't let this guy get in front of me. So it was kind of full send on that piece. And then I hadn't run in this way before because we were all the individuals started like half an hour before you started. There was like you passed a lot, but there was still a lot on the course. So I was just like, right, pass that person, pass that person, pass that person. So I was pretty much doing interval efforts for like all the way, like, I don't know, 15 Ks up to Doreen Creek. And that's when I was like, oh, right, I've done a bit of work here, haven't I? Sort of more than what I normally would. And got to go past and I was pretty cooked. So, and then I think the other thing is that you have kind of times that you want to do things in. So one of my things is I don't care about the time. I'm just going to probably be a bit more, chill out a little bit more early with the full send button to be able to press harder on the way down. But on that time thing, you don't know what the course is going to give you. You don't know what the conditions are going to be. So don't be too, like, time is only important in regards to nutrition that you take with you. But outside of that, like, you just, as long as you're doing your best and you have the intent to move quickly and step fast and keep moving and thinking and concentrating, then I think you're going to go well. So that's my focus anyway, just that intent to move well, pace myself a little bit more, get up to Goat Pass in one piece, and then she's all go on the down.
I did see you've been trialing a bit of nutrition still, even a guy of your own history and longevity. You're still trying something new?
Well, there's new products coming out on the market as well. Pure Sport Nutrition, who's one of the sponsors for the event, have got a new gel range out, which is their performance range, which has the kind of the same sugar type as the race fuel has, which I've made up as my own gel in the past. These things are high octane. They are, for the amount of that I need to carry, is almost half the amount I've done in the past. So I got over Goat Pass the other day. I did the maths afterwards, and I was running at about 135 grams of carbohydrates per hour, which for me is far too much. Like I was and the stomach sort of did a bit of an upside down as a result of that. And I've also been trialing caffeine as well to see, does that make any difference? And to be honest, I don't think it makes any difference. Like, I'm fired up enough in that run. Like, the science says it makes a difference. So, but for me, I actually think there's more risk than reward with that. So I'm just going to make sure that I get the better level of carbohydrate on board and ditch the caffeine and just go and have some fun.
Nice. Well, that's interesting how they keep developing these things. But good that you've tested this, because the last thing I need is you blowing up at the top of Goat Pass with a stomach cramp or something like that on race day.
Well, I'm not going to pull over to the side because I've got a sore tummy, Angus. I'll keep going. Don't you worry about that. I think the other thing I've learnt, and the tip to share, is that, like, what I do with gels is I take them out of the wrappers. I put them in a soft flask so I can just sort of have them, so which makes it easier to have. But the trouble with that is you don't know how much you're having because you're just having a squirt. Exact, like, I kind of got an idea, but it's not exact. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this soft flask, because I'm going to make sure that's done by Doreen Creek, because it takes about that long for me to do it. I want this soft flask done by the time I get to Goat Pass. So I'm not going to way overdose or way underdose sort of thing as a result of that. So I find that should be a good sort of game plan to make sure I'm there or thereabouts, but not have to deal with wrappers or dropping the wrappers in the river and all that sort of stuff that can go on when you're having to deal with that while everything else is going on.
Well, I'm pleased, Richard, that you're feeling good. You've seen across the pass a couple of times. That's enough. You've seen it plenty of times before, and we've got a plan. It feels like we've got a bit of a plan, doesn't it? Really?
I think we've learned I think all three of us have learned a bit from last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds, and I'm looking forward to seeing how those faster socks go as well.
Yeah, looking forward to them into the nor'easter on the way home, I tell you. Speaking of plans, though, Rich, there's one guy we need to hear from, eh? One guy we need to hear what the final sort of update's looking like, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Glen Currie, the man in the know, the man that sort of stands on the start line and gets everything organised in the background. But he's going to be interesting to have a chat to Glen to see what's going on. What do we need to think about for this year?
Bring on. Let's see Glen.
Kathmandu Coast to Coast race director Glen Currie, on a scale of 1 to 10, are you nervous or excited?
Busy, but I don't know. It's sort of it's that business time of the event for us. So yeah, just refreshing weather and getting excited. Yeah, I mean, you organise events for that event week, and that's why that's where you're passionate. So it's a busy time this week, but really looking forward to actually getting out on the event and seeing a whole year's worth sort of come into fruition, I suppose. So let's say excited.
Excited. So I'll give you an 8 out of 10 for the excited scale, rather than nervous.
8 out of 10. Yeah.
No, that's good. Weather, what's your, as we record this, we're over a week and a half out. What have you organising for us? Have you got any insights on your 5 different weather apps that you're updating at the moment?
Yeah, you're on it. I've got 5 going, and I've got one that's favourable, and that's the one I'm working with at the moment. But I tell myself every year I'm not going to worry until 7 days out, and that's when I start actually looking closely. But the reality is from 15 days, you start Googling those 15-day forecasts and things. We've had a really interesting summer in Canterbury. This time last year, all the questions were like, will they actually be able to run the river because there's lack of water? Well, it definitely hasn't been an issue this year. And I suppose you talk about the water table, and there's just so much moisture out back that, 10 or 15 mils of rain seems to fill up our rivers really quickly, and they're taking a long time to drop. That's actually, like anyone who's been training in Canterbury knows that, the runs had a lot of water in it, and the Waimuka area has definitely been flowing quite well all summer. It's been in stunning condition in the last week, but there's lots of moisture around it. It just makes me a little bit conscious that if we get 10 or 15 mils of rain, the conditions change really quickly. So refreshing it now. There's a bit of a system later next week. Hopefully that'll come through earlier, and I'm picking kind of a, probably a relatively full Minga and Deception River for the run, which will follow with a relatively good flow on the Waimuka area at this stage, looking at the forecast next week. So I'm picking that Saturday looks like a boomer in terms of weather, and it just depends how much water's still in those rivers. So, but early days. We'll look at that Monday.
You haven't considered damming the Upper Waimak just to help you out? The Coast to Coast isn't looking at organising that?
No, we don't quite have that sway yet, but we're looking at a number of things. But look, we have such a good run, really, when you consider the weather for that course. So we're always conscious, and we're always sitting with the dark cloud of Plan B hanging over us, and just making sure that that's in place as well as can be, just in case. But no, all going well. We'll start having a look at Monday, and relatively confident we should have a Plan A course next week.
Yeah, that's right. And it's all about athletes, competitors being ready for the conditions, and that's what the gear lists are for, to make sure that everybody can get through it and enjoy the experience rather than being too cold or not being ready. So it's all those just be organised stuff, eh?
That's right. Yeah, I mean we soon forget that we're running a race over over the Southern Alps. It's kind of
down the river.
And over the Southern Alps and down a 70-kilometre gorge. So, it's a big event. It's been around for a long time, but it's still very much a wilderness event. So, we need to be prepared for that, really.
Yeah, respectful of that. Any messages for athletes that are lining up for race day to make sure that their event and their support cruise event is going to be a good one?
Yeah, one of the enjoyable parts of this time of year is probably the number of questions that we get coming in, and that's all well and good. I'm exactly the same. I enter a race, and then I think about it 8 days out exactly what I've got to get organised. So I'm not, I'm not begrudgingly, going to people, but just double check that you've got everything sorted now. We have a huge amount of information throughout the handbooks, which we've actually tried to slim down a bit, so only the important stuff's in there, and then the website. So go through that, double check you're all sorted. You've got. We've got a weekend coming up just to really finalise all that information, and that'll make your life a lot easier on your support crew. On the couple of days of the events, it is a huge amount of logistics, this event, in terms of traffic, etc. And we have a fairly refined system, but that's really reliant on everyone sort of following our instructions and our marshal's instructions and our system. And if you follow our system, you'll be a lot faster through things than trying to create your own system. So, and that's the only way this event can work and continue to work in the future, is if, there's going to be a bit of a fair chunk of hurry up and wait. That's just the reality of the event. We're yet to have anyone actually miss their team members in a transition. That was our fault that we have had people do it, but it was their fault. Follow our systems, and everything should flow pretty well next weekend.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of get yourself organised, pack up your stuff, get in the queue, and then you'll be fine. But if you muck around and chat and then pick up your stuff, then that's where you're going to get potentially into trouble. So that's good. What about messaging? If there's any sort of updates from you, is it via the app? Is that the best way for that people will be communicated with across the course of the event and the days leading into it?
Yeah, the app's one of the best ways we can send notifications. And if you do download the app, it's a really good thing to turn on. You can turn on notifications for that app. Any messaging we need to get out will go through that app. We'll also probably use email if it's important, if there's any last-minute updates. But it will go through the app. So if you have that and want instant notifications without checking your emails, if you turn notifications on that information, any last-minute updates or anything will go through there if we need to communicate. Generally, we'll usually follow up with athlete emails anyway, but the app will give you. But yeah, if you can turn those notifications, and good idea to refresh your app if it's still sitting on the phone from last year. If you refresh it, it should be. It just means that any updates will be in there, etc. We have actually invested in quite a substantial internet setup, Wi-Fi setup at Klondike Corner this year. It'll also be at Gorge Bridge. So there's information on that app how to connect to our Wi-Fi, so you can get off the. You don't have to use the 4G, 5G network that's there. So check that out too. Hopefully everyone will have quite strong internet connection at those locations. So
which would be good for everybody to get stories out of stuff that's going on, because often we're there and in the dark. Everyone else knows what's going on, but those that are actually camping out there don't know. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. One of the exciting things about this race, and I'm sure it's exciting for you as well, is the stories that come out of it. But across the board, everybody's got a story, which is amazing. But there's incredible athletes out there that really set the bar every year and really push the boundaries of what we think is actually possible across this course as well. Be pretty keen to have a bit of an insight from you of the heavy hitters, who's lining up, who's got a chance at winning this thing in the different categories, from the under 23s to the longest day event. Who have you got on your dollar on? I know Robin Judkins always sort of did a kind of top 10 sort of scenario. Like, what's your thoughts this year?
Yeah, well, we sort of rank them as well, and it's a challenging sport, multi-sport, because outside of, there's some great events throughout New Zealand, but it's difficult for athletes to get to, etc. And we have these athletes that turn up to the Kathmandu coast to coast every year, and I always like to say these guys actually train like, to win this thing, you've got to train like an Olympian. You do, you're pretty much approaching it as a professional athlete. And 25 hours of training a week. Most of these guys, if they want to be competitive, they're not working full-time jobs, and it's very difficult to financially make it stack up. But what excites me about this event is probably the reasons for trying to win it. And so like at the end of the day, you're not going to make a living out of it, but it's just that real want to put your name on that list. So we've got a really deep field. I mean, I'm quite excited. I get excited now. The under 23s, and that's going really well in the 2-day event, and it's actually getting quite competitive. And I see that Sophie Charlard's back. She won it last year for the females. I think she'll be really difficult to beat. But when I go through and research them, I can see all these young athletes that sort of started at school and teams, and now they're quite competitive and they're getting faster and faster. So she'll definitely have some youngins chasing her through the course, which is cool. But I think so.
That's cool in itself, because in the past, like, so Sophie would have done that, won that, and then she would, like, the stepping stone is, okay, we're going to do the longest day. Whereas now she's like, okay, I won that. There's some prize money involved, and there's some kudos to that. I'm going to go and see if I can retain that crown for a second year.
That's right, and that's a challenge in itself. So, and in the men's field there's Tom Schenk. I think he came in second last year. To Sam King, who I'll talk about soon. So he's lining up, and again, there's some young fellas there that will all be chasing that sort of that first or that top 3 in that under 23. So we had a goal a couple of years ago of creating sort of a stepping stone to that elite longest day, and it's going really well. And I mean, you've seen the quality of racing over the last couple of years as a result of that. And I think the 2-day times have actually come down on average by probably 30 minutes because those guys are racing so hard to win that category. So great to see, and they are the future of the sport. So look forward to seeing them. What excites me too is probably a little bit this year is we have the 1-day teams that we introduced a number of years ago, and it's sort of slowly built some momentum. And I think this year we can really see some of the quality that event's pulling. And I suppose we did that as an event because we could see that there's a lot of people who would like to be involved in the event competitively, but the 3 disciplines is a real challenge. And so, and this year, I think, I sort of see that on the start line on the list in that event, and you've got like Cameron Jones, who's going to turn up, and he'll light that cycle, each one of those cycle legs up, I'm sure. So pretty exciting. So some of those big names. And then you've got Sam Clark's racing with in a team with Corinne O'Donnell, both previous longest day champions. So they're in a team. And there's a lot of, basically there's a lot of depth in those 3-person teams. I sort of read through the names. You got Joe Sullivan, who's a great kayaker. So we're sort of getting those that level of athlete who wants to come along and be competitive in this race. And it is happening. So there's going to be some fast times and great racing to watch in those categories. And, it might allow me next year to finally reach my goal, setting up that Trans-Tasman sort of team rivalry of Aussie versus New Zealand and getting a couple of teams that are real competitive. So there'll be some great racing in there, and, some absolute world-class athletes turning up, Nathan Farvai's in there, etc. So to see racing. So, that'll be brilliant. And then the big one is obviously the elite sort of longest day world championship event, which is the one that blows our minds every year, and the quality of racing is awesome. So I'll start, I suppose, in the men's field. Alex Hunt's having a year off. He said last year if he doesn't win it, he's got to take a year off, and that's it. So he managed to get the win last year, which probably makes it a little bit easier for him not to line up this year. And so the field opens up a little bit. Hamish Elliott, if I have to put my money on anyone, I'd have to say Hamish is it. He's his race last year was phenomenal, but probably went a little bit unnoticed due to Alex pipping him at the finish line. But 2 kilometres more, of course, Hamish might have won it. Hamish lost all his food on the first rover crossing in the run. Maybe that was the difference, but he put in an absolutely incredible time and race and backed it up to win the year before. So he's gone from being an amazing runner who can bike and kayak to an amazing kayaker, biker and runner. He's put some good times down in kayak races he's done this year. He's been in the top 3 of every event he's turned up to, I think, this year. So he'll be really hard to beat. But there's plenty of names then that could all be racing for those top spots. And Sam Manson's back, and rumours are he's cool to keep the low profile, Sam, but rumours are he's in really good form and actually feeling really good. So
good.
No one will know the course better than Sam, having guided over there all summer. So he'll be super competitive. Aaron Lynch, so he sort of probably hides in the shadow of his sister a little bit, but super competitive. Had a great race last year. Won the Open Men's a couple of years ago. Maybe there could be for the first time in history, brother and sister combo on the top step. Every chance. And then, the names sort of go deep in that top 10. You got Lockie Brownlee. He's probably a little bit of the dark horse and someone who's in great form, I think. But, and he's raced a few times now. Jesse Whitehead, who you train with, Richard, you've probably got a bit more insight to then. He's chipped away. He kind of has the knowledge of the course. And then Sam King, that was one I mentioned before, under 23 winner last year, blistering time. And he's a great story, Sam. I like that because he sort of started, his dad was into it, but he started coast to coast to school. He's progressed through the under 23s, won that, and now he's coming to take on the longest day, So, and he's, he knows, of course, he's a quality athlete. And, it'll be interesting to see how he goes, sort of stepping up to not having a break halfway, I suppose, and trying to link it all together. So, and Alex Hunt's brother. So we do have an Australian representative, Robbie, who's super competitive.
Robbie.
Plenty of competition there. So, if I had to pick it, I'd say, and Hamish is probably, favourite. And then, you got Sam Manson, but then there's going to be some really good racing from, in those next sort of 10 guys, basically. So
that's right. And I think one of the key things with this is that, as we've seen over the years, like Hamish dropping all his food at the start of the run, stuff goes wrong. So, I'd say Hamish, for my mind, it's his race to. Can I say it's his race to lose? He's a hot favourite anyway, but shit happens, doesn't it? So how do you manage that? And who knows what's going to happen? There's no matter what happens, there's going to be a story to tell.
Yeah, it's a unique event in the fact that you're racing for 11 to 12 hours and you're in 3 disciplines in a really, I suppose, open environment. So there's so many things that can go wrong, it's just such managing that event is, and things outside of your control, really. So, you're going to be in all the best form you want to be, but you've sort of got to control all those little things that are challenging. Who knows? And the females elite, I think this is the most exciting field. Simone Meyer, she's probably she's carrying injuries, and she's probably realistic about the fact that she's still super fit, but maybe that speed factor with the injuries just isn't there. So before I sort of like a week ago, I always go through and highlight all the names and just try to highlight the names that I think are going to be really competitive. And I think I printed off the female list. And I think there's 10 athletes in there, and I've just found myself highlighting every name, and that's the state of things. Like I think every one of them could probably win the race this year, and it's going to be awesome. Obviously Deb's back. So she won last year. She knows how to win it now. She's learned how to kayak. She's good to go. She's got experience with winning it. So she'll probably be the one to beat, I think, this coming year. Outside of that, I think Hannah Lunn's returning. She's had a year off last year. She got second the year before. I think she was quite content with second and was like happy with what she'd done with the Kathmandu coast to coast. I think she's probably only coming back thinking, can I do better? So the reality is she's probably there to try to win it. Otherwise, she wouldn't be turning up. So
that's right. She's a strong, well-rounded athlete, isn't she? She goes well across the board. She's
had some great results this year. She can run, kayak, and bike. She lives in Methven, so she's got some good genetics from around there. So I've seen her out training hard, and she's pretty focused, and she's got a good approach. So she'll be super competitive. But then, I look at the list. You've got Emily Travail stepping up. She's a bit like Sam King, stepping up from the 2-day. Great athlete, some good results. She'll be competitive. You've got people who have raced a number of times. Sarah Jenkins. Fiona Dowling. I can't forget Fiona. Again, had a year off. She's always competitive, Fiona. I think top three, third place has got, and second place is she's right there. So again, Rebecca Kingsford's still waiting for a year. Kat Atkinson's been training really well, apparently. Taya Taylor is someone that everyone's sort of talking about behind the scenes. It could be competitive. Who else have I got? And then I'll have to mention Alina. She's back again, and I always say Alina will have a great. It's not if Alina will have a great race. She will have a great race. So everyone else is basically, if they have a bad race, Alina will be there, and Alina again could easily win the event. So
and she's strong now. I think she's really worked on that over the last couple of years, like her strength so it's just going to help her movement more robust. Let's go and see what she can do. It's exciting for her.
Yeah, and I mean, she always says to me she'll keep coming back as long as she thinks there's areas she can improve on. And every year I think her kayaking gets better, and every year she gets better. So she'll be competitive as well. So really stacked field. I mean, who knows? But
and you might not have named the winners. That's the other thing.
I might not have named the winners. They could even they might even be names in there that could come out and win it. But that's got a lot of depth, that field, and be super exciting racing. So look forward to seeing it. And again, I think that one will just come down to who's got everything going on that day, basically.
Mm-hmm. Nice work. Hey, Glen, thank you so much for your time. It's awesome to have a chat. I'm excited that you're excited. I think there's a fair buzz going on. It's showtime. I'm looking forward to catching up with you and sharing the Kathmandu with coast to coast with everybody. It's going to be an awesome event, and looking forward to getting there.
Yeah, can't wait, mate. It'll be good to have everyone over in Greymouth. Just one note, get those gear checks done, make your life easier, get into your cycle store, and don't leave it to Rego if you want to enjoy the Rego experience a little more and not stand in the queue. Go get those gear checks done in the next week, and so you can turn up all organised. And look forward to seeing you run in Greymouth. Nearly there.
Stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Travel safe. Well done. Cheers, Glen.
Thanks, mate. Catch up. Yeah.
As always, it's a huge privilege to have Glen on the show, on the Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast, mate. And the guy has been working tirelessly in behind his whole team, in fact. And that pressure is all about to come to that pointy end very, very shortly in a week's time. I tell you, though, something when you think of Kathmandu Coast to Coast, well, when you think of the Coast to Coast, who's the one guy? Who is the one guy you think about when you think about Coast to Coast?
Oh, well, it's still Robin Jenkins and Steve Gurney, isn't it, for my mind? I
tell you, I was in the coffee shop on Sunday after a bike ride out at Sumner, and I saw Robin walking out of that. I was sort of coming in as he was going out, so we didn't actually pass any comment along the way, but I saw Robin coming out of there and thought, Robin, you're looking him pretty good, Nick, ready to go for another coast to coast. So looking forward to seeing him back over there again and amongst it throughout the weekend.
That's right. Yeah, he's a guy that starts the event, isn't he? He's obviously it's his race. That's where it started. It's his brainchild, which is pretty cool that it's evolved into what it is today, and awesome that he's still involved in and enjoying the excitement of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast weekend.
And actually, on that as well, the next time probably I run into you, Richard, we're going to be trying to herd some athletes. All of our athletes are going to have turned up that we're supporting. 40 something of them, is it? I'm not actually sure. But on the Robin Judkins thing, of course, Julian, who's coming over from Australia, who grew up in Canterbury, did the first ever 2 Kathmandu coast to coasts. So coming back for another tilt at it. So cool for us to have a bit of that original history and that knowledge going to come at it and see it all again along the way.
1983, 1984. One of those. So he's done the first 2. Right? Yeah. So Julian, one of the original pioneers. This event. How cool. So yeah, cool to be able to share that with him and help him out from Australia to come and do the event. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you all. Looking forward to, as you say, meeting our supported athletes. Looking forward to sharing the event with all our athletes that we coach, and looking forward to just being a part of this fantastic weekend. We work a lot to this one weekend in the whole year, and it's an event that we've been part of for a number of years, and it's really cool to be able to share stories and share this podcast with our community as well. So to everybody, have a fantastic weekend. We'll look forward to seeing you over there. Travel safe and stay healthy, get some good sleep, and let's get ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a big thank you to Kathmandu and to the Coast to Coast for having you and I, Richard, do this podcast for them. For everybody that is coming over, do come and say hello. We'll have the Team CP tent up inside the registration area there. So do come and say hello. It does mean a lot to us to hear that people have actually listened and hopefully actually got something from our dribble that we do. But most importantly, I think, Richard, I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to us doing our thing as a team, because I think that's pretty cool. We get to do that. But I'm looking forward to Saturday afternoon, evening at New Brighton, seeing that raw emotion of people completing their dream of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. Absolutely. And this year we're going to be recording our podcast live as part of that as well. So doing some raw emotional finish line interviews as part of that as well. So we're looking forward to sharing that as part of our sort of, keeping the stories flowing as part of this podcast.
Indeed. Until then, until registration, my friend, everybody be safe, keep well. And like you say, let's have an adventure. It's time to pick a stone from the West Coast and take it eastbound and down all the way to the East Coast, mate. See you in a week.
Well done. Cheers, Angus.